water because it's pretty warm in here. I opened 2 of the windows to get some air. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and Meg and Nick will answer them. I'll try to keep track of what's being said. Okay. Hello. Thanks, Nick. Alrighty, so I think we're just gonna get started because we're gonna save this on our highlights. So if anyone misses the beginning, they'll be able to check it out later. Welcome to our virtual studio tour at Kala Art Institute. I'm currently sitting in the kitchen with the studio behind me. Yeah, welcome. So right now, at the studio. So the studio is actually in the old Heinz ketchup factory. It is, so the studio itself is what used to be the kitchen, and it's the only 3rd floor facility in this entire U-shaped building. So it's a little funky, like the floors are a little weird. We don't actually have great ventilation, but with the windows open, it's awesome. The studio itself is 8,000 square feet. We used to actually, Kala used to all exist in this space, like in this 8,000 square foot space. And then it got, like 10 years ago, the gallery and art sales department got moved to another part of the Heinz building. So that's like the public facing part of Kala. And then the studio up here just expanded. We also used to have our digital lab on the 2nd floor, and then that got moved to the same floor. It's awesome. It's great. So if you didn't know, the print shop is a communal print shop. It is maintained by our awesome staff, which consists of like 3 of us, which is Meg Pohlod, our Residency Manager, Nick Shick, our studio technician. So if y'all want to hop on to introduce yourselves, I'm just going to wait here. Let's see. Oh, let's have to... Meg. Just waiting on Meg here. Hi.
Hi. I'm Meg. Some of you may have emailed me, and some of you know me. I'm currently sitting in our staff office away from Miss Gabriela. So I run the artist residency program as well as all of the adult classes. And also any of our special programmings, fellowship, residency, parent artist award, media residency, veteran art residency. And I also just got word this week that we got funding for our print public. So we're going to be bringing that back in 2021. So we're super excited about that. I encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, sign up for our newsletter. That's usually where I post stuff about upcoming deadlines, also into different call for entries that we're trying to create more and more at the studio. And we're so excited to share Kala with you. We love it so much, and we can't wait to also reopen after the COVID-19 shelter in places.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to get Nick on here. Yeah. Yeah, so Meg is like in the office, and we are separated by a glass door. It's like kind of great, but kind of sad. Okay, I think Nick, yay. Nick!
Hi.
Hi.
I finally figured it out. Hi, I'm the studio technician. I just moved to the Bay Area mid-January, so I'm new to the community at Kala and just Really loving the experiences that I've had there so far, and looking forward to continuing to work with everyone and get to know more of the artists in the community after the shelter in place is lifted. And as hockey fans can tell from my baseball cap, I'm up in Canada right now in Edmonton, Alberta. This is my Edmonton Oilers hat. Spending some time with family before we can go back to work. So hi everyone, and thanks for coming. It's great to see so many folks on here.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so, and if you don't already know, my name is Gabriela. I'm the digital and print studio manager here. I'm mainly in charge of the digital side of things. So like our digital lab, the photo base, I'm also like in-house IT, and I also manage the studio. Mostly just like systems in place. If there's like any specific questions on equipment, I can help with some of it. But then more specific questions would be directed to Nick, the studio technician. So without further ado, let's actually get moving and starting on this. But before I get up and actually like show you guys, I just want to give you a brief overview of what we have available in the studio. So we have a photo doc room, we have a documentation room, exposure room, acid room, a communal workspace, a multi-use press zone, litho area, letterpress area, a paper drying area, and then our digital lab. And then these like small areas to work and stuff. So there's a lot. Okay, so let me reverse the camera here. And let's just get started. Again, if you have any questions, leave it in the chat. We'll try to answer them throughout, and then if we can't, we'll have a quick Q&A afterwards. So this is like the entrance of the studio, and I'm just going to turn around over here so you can sort of see how large the space is. So this is one, like the front area, and then down that hallway is the back part of the studio. So right now, we're actually just gonna go straight upstairs to our photo dark room and our documentation room. Okay, so by the way, I've like turned on all the lights, so I don't have to worry about doing that. So this is our photo dark room. It is small but mighty. We have, we have 3 enlargers, these things that are covered. So this one's a cold light enlarger. These 2 are just regular Bessler enlargers. I don't actually know a lot of the details, like I am a screen printer, so ask me questions about that. But in terms of some of the stuff in here, I am still learning. Chrissy, one of our amazing artists, has been helping me like get the hang of this space. We just moved up our flip top exposure unit. Here, let's see if we can do this one-handed. Eek, maybe that. I have my little tripod, so I can set it down. So we have a split top exposure unit here, which is great for alternative processes, exposing on copper, maybe? Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am. We have drying racks for silver printing, and we have all these equipment for printing, your tongs, film canisters. We have the plastic ones and metal ones. Let's see, film holders in there. We have a ton of different size trays down here, which we have it split up so that like there are silver specific trays and then alternative processing trays on one side. Same with that, those racks are for alternative processes just to minimize contamination. Got this awesome sink. Ignore that. So Kala is 45 years old, and there's a lot that's kind of been stowed, and we've slowly been going through things and like finding gems and getting rid of stuff. I also want to point out that there's this closet which we sort of use as a storage space for photo-based chemicals, just so you don't have to bring it up and down all the time. And yeah, so that's this room. We also have, this is like one of two spaces that actually has ventilation. We do have a fan in here, but I'm not going to turn it on because it's really, really loud. Okay. On this same like top floor, we have our documentation room over here. So documentation room, meaning this is a space for you to come and document your work, photograph. It can also be used just like if you want, you know, a place to work by yourself, this would be a good space to reserve. We have this, oh my gosh, I always forget what it's called. It's like a tabletop rig. You can attach your camera to the top there and shoot perpendicularly. It's good for smaller work. There are these lamps there for your light. We have, in general, this room is set up so that you can use these large heat lamps, tripod in the center, and then this magnetic backing. So we have magnets over here, so you can like put up your work. We also got these backdrops installed recently. So we only have gray and blue installed, but we also have a white backdrop, and I think there's like a velveteen, there's a black one and like a velveteen one, so you can put it up and document your work if you don't want this like scratched up backboard. We also have fuse lights available for people to check out, so we can leave this space. We also have a 4x5 Sinclair film camera, and this awesome, like, it's not called a tripod, but mount rig to put the camera on. It's pretty heavy, but it can move. And yeah. And then my favorite part, okay, I know this is very random. Don't ask me why it's there, but I absolutely love it. Ta-da! You can see almost the entire studio through these little peep windows. It's so great. Yeah, if anyone knows the story behind these windows, let us know. Because we honestly have no idea why they are there or like what function they used to have. Okay, we're going down. Okay, so over on the left, we have two single occupancy bathrooms. We have this little storage area for really large screens. It's a little hard to keep them just because we don't have the equipment to expose large screens, but if you're willing to do like alternative exposures, that's great. This storage area here is for digital papers. So because we provide one cubby and one flat file, but you're doing digital printing, like when you buy a roll, this is what you get essentially, is like this box. So we have this space for that. Okay, on my right, let's see. We have this like communal work area. There's a large cutter for plates. We also have communal equipment. So there's like files for your copper plates, saws, lamps, it's heavy. And sandpaper. So all this stuff is for communal use. As long as you like put it back, it's fine. And then we have this hole punch for registration. It tends to move around, but this is generally its home. Just want to give a shout out to Pavel, who is working on this giant block, and it's like really great to walk into. Okay, so moving, I always forget to point this out, but so we have this empty wall. It has a metal bar at the top with magnets, so artists can put up their work if they're doing a studio visit, or if they just like want to put it up to see how it's looking. That is there for your use. So next up is, I guess, the larger studio space here, this section. We have cutters all around. This is our largest one. And then we have a bunch of cutting mats for use. Some are labeled only paper, just because, like this one below, we do have multidisciplinary artists, a lot of people who work with textiles. So if they want to cut fabric, they can use these other mats. And then for people working with just paper, have a cleaner surface to work on. Our rags. So unfortunately, we don't have like a very traditional rag system in which like someone comes in and takes them for us. We actually buy the rags and we dispose of them appropriately. But this is where our rag system lives. Okay, this area, there's like a lot happening here, so bear with me. So here we have essentially the aquatint area. We have this, I don't know the exact dimensions of this aquatint box, but it has pre-ground rosin. It's pretty large. And then we have a smaller box where more traditional rosin aquatint. From my understanding, you have to like grind the rosin prior to actually being able to put your plate in. So we do use, so we have this like torch system set up for you to set your aquatint, but we also have hot plates around the studio if you prefer that. But we are more than happy to show you how to use the torch. So that is that. The exposure room. So the exposure room is mainly used for, well, it has a lot in here too, but it's mainly like a screen printing area. So just a quick overview here. So we have yellow lights. So these are UV safe lights, just because there is a lot of photosensitive things in here. So we have a cabinet here to store newly coated screens that are still photosensitive. A drying rack. So like when you wash out a screen, it can live here while it dries. We have polymer plate maker. Ooh, that should be on there. Okay, I'm gonna fix that later. But polymer plate maker. So most, like half of our staff ended up taking a letterpress class to learn how to use this piece of equipment, and also just get a better understanding of the letterpress process. So that's thank you to, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her name? Taya. Thanks to Taya for teaching us. This is great. I love this machine so much. Next to it, we have a washout booth. So for screen printing, we do provide some chemicals. We have stencil remover, simple green for a degreaser. We also have like protection equipment. So you have your earmuffs and also goggles to protect you from the water, power washer, scoop coaters. They're not in the best condition, but they work wonderfully. So this little area here, this is our alternative exposure unit. So if you have a screen that can't fit in our like regular exposure unit, you can use this. It just means your exposure times are a lot longer. But it has saved our lives because, please excuse this. Our glass cracked right before COVID, and we have not been able to replace it. So I'm so happy we have this. It's been great. But once we replace the glass, we have the glass, but once we replace it, this will be up and running soon. But this is our self-top exposure unit. Works great. Nick, shout out to Nick, who has done an amazing job at testing times. We ran into some issues before the glass cracked. It's been an adventure. We got spatulas, this screen, oh my gosh, what's it called? This coating station. yeah, there's a lot in here. Okay. Okay. So right outside the exposure room, we have communal squeegees for you to use. Communal inks live down here, so if artists have inks that they don't want to use anymore, or they're leaving and want to donate, they can just leave them here. We try to go through them to make sure that the stuff that's there is actually good. If not, it gets tossed. And then we also have these containers so people can mix their inks in, and rather than going to buy containers and stuff, they can just come in here and grab that. And this is our screen storage area. We kind of minimized recently, and we only allow artists to have 3 screens total. We do let artists borrow COLA screens, so they can borrow that. But that includes, so like you can only have 3, whether that means like COLA and your own personal screens, or just your personal screens, or just COLA. So, okay, now we're gonna go into the acid room. Ooh, okay, so this acid room is meant for etching. So we have some storage for chemicals, so artists can store any flammable chemicals in here. We have varying tray sizes. We do have a vertical tank, but if for any reason you want to etch something that does not fit in that tank, we do have larger trays for you to use. And here, ink. And then, so this is actually left, this was set up for a calligraph class, I think. And COVID hit and they just kind of stayed there. But yeah. So this is the only room that has proper ventilation. So back there, when that is on, it brings in fresh air every 30 seconds. Okay. Now back out here. Okay. So vacuum table for our screen printers. We do have this one arm setup. However, we recently learned that the arm is a little too short, so we're working on fixing that. But this vacuum table is loved dearly. It is probably the most like reserved piece of equipment here. We have this like glass top work table. So a lot of people tend to, like, if they're working on the vacuum table, they'll also take over this larger table to set up and stuff. But people can just use it like separately. There's a platen board here for like a separate screen printing station. Giant drying racks. So this one was recently donated to us, which is amazing because it is huge. I forget exactly the dimensions, but it's so big. I love it. Okay. Awesome. So now we have this giant area here. Let me back up a little bit. So this is basically the communal workspace. These 3 tables are basically like first come, first serve. Artists tend to be really good about using only the space that they need. When it's only a few people, like everyone will take up a table and it's great. But if more people show up and more people want to work, like everyone's really good about allowing people space to work. That being said, we also have like so much more workspace in the back. Back here, we have large lithostones. Pavel and Carlos were 2 artists that were working in January. They've been using the stone. Carlos is no longer here at COLA, but I associate litho with him a lot. More platen boards here for screen printing. They're all about like, most of them about the same size. We do have this board and the other one that was on the other table that are larger. Cubbies. So like I mentioned, each artist gets a single cubby and a flat file. So they're kind of spread out. These cubbies live here, and then we have more in a different area, and then like a whole hallway full of them. Now we got the like schlop sink. It's a kitchen sink, but it functions like to wash your hands if they're inky or whatnot. We provide like Gojo and the soap and all that stuff. That's here. Oh my gosh, before I forget, the kitchen! We do have a kitchen here with the fridge, microwave, toaster, little library there for all of your knowledge needs and desires. This is for artists to use. It's great. So like very nice hangout spot. We do provide newsprint. It is donated to us, so we're very fortunate to get like so many rolls from a local business who print ballots, and I don't know what else they print, but they give us like these rolls, which is amazing. So the press area. So let's look at the litho area first. So we have this awesome litho sink. We do provide the grit. We have soy sauce and denatured alcohol. We have this like really DIY. A lot of our systems are very DIY. So I forget what that's called, but like this is how we separate the grit and make sure it doesn't go down the drain. So 2 litho presses. We have our smaller stones tucked away over here. We do have 2 levigators. They're not super big, but then we also have, where'd they go? Okay, we have 2 stones. This one's tiny. I don't know where Teeny is. Oh, Teeny is back there. So those 2 stones for greening, and the levigators there. Rollers. The chemistry to etch a stone. So I just want to say, for the studio, a lot of artists provide their own equipment, or supplies, such as paper, inks, like smaller things like a palette knife. We provide as much equipment as we can, but in terms of supply, artists provide that. That being said, litho is kind of one of the 2 areas that we do provide a lot of that stuff just because it's so rarely used. So we have inks, litho inks for artists to use. This is great. Close this properly, my bad. We have metal backings if you do plate lithography. Someone's been working on a big stone. More newsprint. Yeah. So my lithographer is where you at? Apply to the residencies. Okay. So before I go any further, I'm gonna back up here. So a lot of presses. We have 6 etching presses. We have 3 large, oh my gosh, what are they called? Large American French tool presses, 2 Charles brands, and 1 Griffith press. So the way people use the presses is like we have a reservation system, so people don't monopolize the equipment. So 3 of these are first come, first serve, and 2 of them are, 3 are first come, first serve, 3 are reservation only. So Charles brand back there, first come, first serve. Reservation. reservation, first come, first serve, reservation back there, which I'll show you in a little bit. But we have like all these glass top workspaces. So this little area, this is a first come, first serve area, but it's like kind of nice because it feels a little bit more private if you like working alone. So like I'm all the way back in the window, and this is the view I have. So it's like really nice. So you can spread out like all along this table, and this table there's a hot plate for you to use. It's great. We have our communal rollers that live here. They're not some of them are not in the best shape, but I'm happy we can provide them. We have some larger rollers for use, but most of them live here. Let's see. And then this area. So this is our private editioning room. This actually used to be part of custom printing, I think. But now it's the only really private press area. So you have all this workspace to yourself if you reserve this area. There's also a hot plate, and you can put up work on the wall here. This is also a large American French tool. Window back there. Doo-doo. Blankets, we do provide blankets. They all live here. Communal. Yeah. This beauty is a light table. It also functions just like as a workspace. Most people forget that it is also a light table. We have light tables kind of everywhere. There's another one back there. There's one in the back. Oh my gosh! Meg! Oh man. Okay, sorry, that was a moment. Yeah, so light table back there. Okay, now this big area, which is in front of the multi-press room or section, this is what we call the paper prep area. So we have two baths. Well, one like fairly large bath for you to soak your paper in. We have communal towels. We also have a section for people to store their personal towels, as long as they like label it with their name. So this is a bathtub. It also serves as a paper soaking area, but really only if the bigger bath is not working or we have to clean it or whatnot. So, but they both function for that. Let's see. More drying racks. So this little guy actually moves throughout the space. Some people will take it over towards the back. They don't want to like come back and forth. It can also go to the letterpress area, but it's super easy to move around. Another big drying rack. This is basically like a way to flatten your paper or prints. And we actually have a heat press for smaller prints if you want to use that. And then back here, Meg, I always forget which studio this came from, but it's a drying system. So essentially you switch between, you like layer cardboard and matte board, switch them, like alternate them, putting your prints in. You cover the whole thing with this and then turn on the fan. Ground point press, thank you. And it basically like allows for airflow, so it dries your prints faster rather than having to wait, weeks or whatnot. Okay. So more Cubbies, the office, Hi, Meg. Bye, Meg. So this is the hallway I was mentioning of like all the Cubbies mostly living here. And let me just show you, like, they're pretty big. They can hold a lot. Okay. So this area now, this is like the back, what we call the back portion of the studio. We have this work table. This was what I was referring to earlier. There's like this giant work table or workspace. The glass for the exposure unit is currently living here. Flat files. So we do have really large flat files. But for the most part, we have like the standard size for artists here. They kind of live everywhere. So there's like all along that wall. There's some over here, right there. And all of that, those are flat files. So we usually start off with one per artist, but we tend to have extras. So if an artist needs additional storage for any reason, they just have to ask us, and we will see if we can accommodate. So, more light tables, cutters, giant cutting mat. This tends to move like between this space and the large table. But this is, I guess, what I would consider like a clean paper area. Okay, letterpress. Letterpress. So, of course, welcomed by so much type. It's like pretty well organized. There are some cases that still kind of don't know what's in them. Yeah. Here's one of our Vandercooks. This one's a SP15. We have an SP20 back yonder. Sharon loves the Vandercook 15. We have magnetic bases for polymer plates. We used to have two, but right now only one is being used. Nice little area for ink and glass slab. There's one here. And there's this marble slab here. It's great. We got furniture, letting and spacing. This is the second area where we do provide inks. And it's mostly because inks are only sold in these large tubs now, and it doesn't make sense for individual artists to be purchasing them because it lasts forever. Mm-hmm. Pantone charts. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, so if you haven't noticed, like, there's all these cases full of type. You have galley trays here. SP20. Okay, and just to confuse you more, there's this little shortcut here to get to the other side. So yeah, it's a small letterpress area, but so great. There's so much to it. Yeah, we got this little sign press here. And then this is the 6th press we have, the Griffin press. It's first come, first serve. There's a little glass slab over there and the chemicals. Well, not chemicals, sorry. The Sybil Green, Dissolve, denatured alcohol, and mineral spirits. I did forget to mention that we do provide mineral spirits and denatured alcohol. We have them like floating around. Also soy solve. Baby Griffin! Yeah. And then this big storage area. It's very limited, but we do have a little bit of storage area for printmaking papers, or rec papers, I guess. And how can I forget to point out the guillotine? So beautiful. Newly sharpened blades. So gorgeous. And last but not least, the digital lab. This is my domain. So the lab. So we have 3 large format printers, two of which are 44-inch printers. One is 24 inches, and then we have a smaller large format one that can print 17-inch film. It's our dedicated film printer for stencils. They are also on our reservation system. We have a large flatbed scanner. We have the Imicon film scanner, which has gotten so much use. I mean, not recently, but before COVID, a lot of people are very interested on using that. We have 2 smaller scanners for use, a baby light table, a Wacom tablet in the corner back there. And then we have these 8 iMacs that have the full Adobe suite. 2 are running the 2019 suite, and then the other 6 are running 2018. And then this large table also functions as a cutting mat. So this stays here. This does not move. We also have a little bit of storage space for like anyone that's working with just digital printing. We try to give them a flat file in here. So for here, for the digital lab, we charge for ink, but artists provide their own paper. That being said, we have all this paper that was kind of left over by artists from years and years ago, and we couldn't figure out who it belonged to, or we can't contact them anymore. So this stuff is up for grabs. We have film, like transparency film. We do sell it though. So we have 17-inch film and also 24-inch film. The pricing is said once you join in and all that stuff. And then if anyone's curious, we have like a loft upstairs that is just storage for now. It's for staff use, but in case you're wondering about the stairs and the chain and all that. But yeah, so this is the digital lab. Yeah, so that's basically our studio. 8,000 square feet holds a lot. Yes, Ellen cleaned out the loft, and it took weeks, and we're so happy. Great. Let's see if, can I do this? Meg. Hi. So that's a lot. So I haven't been paying attention too much of the chat, but I think Meg has been answering, and Nick has been answering a lot of the questions. I'm sitting down now, so if I can answer anything. Sharon. Yeah. I had a paper with some highlights to make sure I didn't forget anything. However, I immediately forgot it in the dark room. So Do people screen on fabric on the vacuum table? Yes and no. One of our current artists, she works a lot on textiles, and she tried printing on the vacuum table. However, it like moves too much, so she ends up just like printing on a board. There's like a makeshift. She like made something. But yeah, you can print using fabric. Is it possible to apply for both artist and resident and fellowship program? Yes, it is. That being said, it's different committees. However, there are two, the residency manager and the executive director do view both applications. So just know that some people will see your application twice. But yes, you can apply to both. Yeah, so unfortunately we can't do a lot of like in-person studio tours. We try our best to like provide it for schools or large groups, but individual tours is really hard just because we are a small staff of 3 people. That's why we're doing this, because now that like no one's here, you can, actually walk around and show you, and we'll be able to save this on our highlights. Thanks, Perrin. I do want to say, though, that although I covered a lot of information right now through the tour in terms of like what we have, we also have a lot of this info on our website. It's under facilities. So if you go to like residency, it should be under facilities, and it lists what we have available. Will polymer plate makers need their own crane for the exposure unit? Yes and no. So there is a crane that is provided. And Meg's answering, yeah, we do have crane for sale in case like you're not comfortable if it's damaged or whatnot. But there is a crane that lives in the plate maker. You can buy some, unless or have your own. Mm-hmm. Nick, but if you're picky like me, we can sell you some. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some questions about the fellowship and residency. Again, a lot of that information is also on the website. Meg has done an amazing job of like listing all of that under the fellowship application guidelines. Oh, yeah. Let me get you on there.
Sorry, I think I'm like a couple minutes behind you or something. I don't know. To answer some questions about the fellowship award, because we just ended in March 15th from a artist in residence application, and the fellowship award, media artist award, and parent artist award are due May 29th. A lot of people are asking, well, the July 15th is right around the corner. So basically what happens is we only have about, I think we have 5 spots for this year's fellowship award. And then we usually get about 300 applications. So oftentimes there's so many amazing applicants that are print savvy, that have great projects. But like I said, we can only award 5 people. However, what we do is we do kind of like an okay to work, where you get grandfathered in, like the application that you used for your fellowship, you will also be considered as an artist in residence, because it's just so hard to pass up all the awesome applicants that we get. So that kind of does, you are simultaneously applying for both. I know it's not really that clear on the website about that, but just to kind of clarify on that. Also, if you are a parent artist and you are interested in applying for the fellowship, or if you're a media artist and you're also interested in applying for the Parent Artist Fellowship, you're considered in both of those. There's a way to answer a question in both applications to be considered for that. So it's kind of applying for 2 for 1. Thanks, Wei. So cute. Usually with the 3 application periods for the artist in residency program, we typically accept 10 to 15 artists. And then you have, let's see, about 5 or 6 months to choose of when you want to start. You can usually have a 1, 2, or 3 month residency. After that, we do just kind of check in to see if you're driving with the studio community, if you're able to work independently. So because residency is, the studio is accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you pick the part-time that you want to come in. It usually equals out to 12 days a month that artists can come in. We don't monitor when you do come in. So if one week you decide to come in 5 days and then the next week you only decide to come in 1 day, it's totally up to you because everybody has different schedules and work and etc. But yeah, I think that's, and then usually if you do jive really well and you want to sign on a 6-month contract and we don't have, we have space in the coming month, if we don't have other artists coming in, we usually welcome about 2 to 6 artists every month coming in. And throughout the year, it's about 125 artists that come through. We usually have about 60 affiliate artists that are constantly artists in residence. So the big question that I'm getting right now, and Nick, thanks for the fellowship question there, is because of the COVID-19, we have decided to stick with the current planned scheduling for that for artists to start October 2020. You can come as late as June 2021 to use the award. The exhibition does come up in July of 2021 and will be scheduled through September 2021. So it would be helpful if you could come a little bit earlier. Plus, we want to hang out with you, get to know you. We've probably so enjoyed in viewing your application. So that does. We always want to, and we try to do potlucks and welcome dinners, etc. So we try to get people and folks together. So hope that helps. And then I'll turn it back over to Gabriela, and maybe Nick has some other stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, I know Nick and Meg answered this, but I just wanted to reiterate that the studio is 24/7 access. So like everyone gets keys to the space. The staff themselves are only here Monday to Friday, generally like 9 to 5 around there. But yeah, artists themselves can be in here 24/7. Nick, I don't know do you have anything to add? Do you want to hop on board? How about artists in residence? When does that start? Yeah. If you want to check out the website for some of those answers. That being said, it's also like a little finicky right now just because of COVID. Okay, Nick's good. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's about all I got for y'all. If anyone else has any other questions, any specific questions for Nick about our equipment, if we want to see something else. Nick's camera shy. Do you guys have like a room for hanging prints on the wall? Not a room. There is the wall. There's this blank wall to hang prints. There's also, I completely forgot to point it out, there's like another metal bar in the digital lab if you want to hang stuff up there. Let's see. Oh wait, put me on, says Nick. Are you, like, is that what you're asking, or are you asking about the documentation room for documenting work? Great, okay, cool, that answered the question. Tina! So we totally forgot to introduce Tater, our shop dog. Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh, Tater. What a guy.
Tater joined us when Nick joined. And he's a little angel baby. Meg and I were taking care of him for a while when Nick was out of town, and he owns the studio. Like, he just roams, says hi to people, comes back to the office.
Oh, what a guy. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Nick.
Yeah. I thought that he should be part of the tour. I saw a question go, hey, Lane, all the Canadians. In terms of technical assistance, I have some time in my schedule that I devote to supporting folks in their practice. But if there's a process that you're interested in working with and you have absolutely no experience, we recommend and prefer that you take a class in the facility so that you have at least understanding and some experience working with the equipment before you attempt a project on your own.
Yeah, so that's a good point. I think we forgot to mention is that the residency themselves, so a lot of the artists that come through, it's a very self-sufficient residency. So you are expected to know the process you plan to work in. That being said, if you're interested in learning something new, like Nick said, like take a class, you can also, we can pair you up with another artist so you can do a tutorial and then you two can work out like a payment system, or if you just want to do like a trade of sorts. But again, it is very much a self-sufficient residency. Yeah. Francis!
And yeah, classes are available to artists and residents. It's a fee in addition to the residency.
But it is at a discounted rate for artists and residents. Yeah. Hi, Anthea.
Or the two. Okay, I'm gonna say Tater and I are gonna say bye.
Okay. Bye. Alrighty. So yeah, I think that's about it. Again, we're gonna save this on our highlights so you can go back and check it out. And oh, one last question. Do Canadians need to receive visa sponsorship for residents over 30 days? No, they do not, as Megan replied. Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We'll save this on our highlights. And if you have any more questions, feel free to send us a message on Instagram. Check out our website for, there's a lot of information there. So check out that website. And you can also find a contact email for us if you have very specific questions. But thanks all for joining.